Hi, this is Robert Nicholson at LearningJack.com, and we're talking about search engine optimization. In the last session, we talked about the 3 R's: choosing the right keywords to focus on, creating relevant content for your site, and establishing a high site rank. These aren't the only things that affect your position in search results, but they are the most important, so let's dive right in and talk about them. To choose the right subjects to focus on, start out by thinking about your business. What is the information that you want to convey to users? What products and services do you want to tell them about? And make a list of the topics you want to cover on your website. For each item in the list, think about keywords that a person might use to search for that information. And go ahead and brainstorm with your colleagues to come up with more ideas. Now, you won't think of every possible keyword, and you certainly won't know which ones are used most frequently. So to get that information, we're going to use some tools. I'll talk real quickly about a few tools that are currently available, but what you should do is search for keyword research tools, see what's out there, and find the tool that works best for you. Let's start out by talking about WordTracker. This is a commercial tool. You have to pay to use it. It will take your lists of keywords for your various topics and suggest some additional keywords. But the most useful feature, I think, is this report, where it will take your keywords and it will show you the relative frequency of searches for each of those words and the amount of competition, how many other sites and pages are targeting that information. So this will let you focus on the keywords that are most commonly used. It will also maybe let you avoid the areas where there's just a ton of competition and there's really no point in going after that. And ideally, what you would love to find is something like we see in the very first line in this report, where there is a keyword that is very frequently used and there's little competition. If you find one of those and it fits your business, you really want to focus on that. Another tool is Google Trends, previously called Google Insights. And it's just a quick little tool that lets you take a few search terms and shows you the relative frequency of searches. So we see in this case that skincare is much more common than dermatologist or dermatology. But the other thing that's kind of interesting about this tool, and almost unique, is it shows how searches change over time. So a search term that was very common in 2005 might be less common in 2015. And that can be useful information because it can let you get ahead of trends. One more tool is Google Keyword Planner, a little more formal tool, kind of similar to WordTracker. It will take your keywords and show you the relative frequency of the searches and the amount of competition. This final column, Suggested Bid, relates to the pay-per-click advertising program that we talked about last time, so for SEO purposes, we just ignore that. Now I'm going to show you another opportunity for finding more keywords to focus on. Understand that the search terms that people use will vary depending on where they are in their thought process. So if someone is just learning, they're going to ask open-ended types of questions. They might search for types of TV sets. When they enter a phase where they're really narrowing down choices, comparing and contrasting, they might enter a search like LCD, LED, plasma TVs compared, or which is better, LED or plasma TV. And then when they're ready to make a purchase, they're going to be very specific, cheap Sony LED TV. So the reason this is important is that you might have different pages that actually target different phases of the search process. And if you can get the user to your site very early in their learning curve, then they will come to think of you as being an authoritative site and they will tend to come back to your site. So these exploring and learning type queries can be very useful queries to target with good content. Let's talk about content. What you're going to do is build focused content-rich pages for the specific keywords that you've decided to focus on. You may have several related keywords that are embedded and targeted with the same page, but you really want to build good content. Search engines are taking content very seriously, and as we talked about in the first session, you really want to build good web pages, a good website that users are really going to like, because the search engines will recognize that. You want to be sure that on the page you incorporate your keywords in several places: in file names, path names, page titles, headings, image captions, lead paragraphs. If you think about it, if I hand you a magazine article and ask you quickly what's this article is about, you might look at the page title, any subheads on the page, captions, maybe read the lead paragraph. Well, search engines essentially do the same thing. They put a lot of weight on the cues that would tell a reader what the page is about. So use those cues to tell the search engine what your page is about. You also want to have a good description meta tag. Some search engines will display the description tag in the search results. So this is an opportunity for you to hook the user. When they see a good, well-written description, they're more likely to click on your link. There's an old tag called the keyword meta tag, where people could list the keywords that they wanted to target on the page, but that was so abused that all of the major search engines now ignore it, and you should too. It adds no value to your page. In addition to building good content and incorporating the keywords into those key indicators like headings and titles, there are other ways that you can help the search engines understand what your page is about. And these are some relatively new features called semantic tagging. And this will allow the search engines to pull information out of your pages and use it for answering queries, like what are the hours of Ray's Barber Shop, or where is Harry's restaurant located? So ask your website designer to incorporate semantic tags. There are several different tagging systems, and they're all useful. We can also use what are called open graph tags for social networks. And this will make sure that when someone shares your page on Facebook, for example, that the title and the description and the picture that come up are the ones that you have chosen. So this is another way that you can take your search engine optimization to sort of a second level, where you're providing more specific and useful information that will be used in different contexts. So we've talked about choosing the right keywords, choosing relevant content. Now, how do we build rank? Now remember that rank comes from the Google PageRank. It's just a rough measure of how important your site is, and it's based on the links from high-ranking pages. The more links you have to your page, the better. And the more links you have from high-rank pages, that's even better. And links from some types of sites, like news sites, government sites, and educational institutions, carry a little more weight. So the fundamental premise of Google is, if a site is good, other good sites will link to it. And Google and all of the other search engines consider links to your site to be a major factor in deciding how important your site is and where it should appear in search results. And we're going to spend a lot of time, starting in the next session, learning how to get good links to your site. See you next time.